Mohammed Al-Masri joins us now, professor at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. Mohammed, it's good to have you back in the studio. We are trending towards the completion of phase one of this deal. I say trending because I think we need to be very careful, right? But there are the remains of 8 bodies that remain in Gaza that Hamas has to hand over as part of the deal. And Israel also has to meet its obligations of allowing in enough humanitarian aid. Are you confident, let's start there, that we get to this, that we complete phase one of the deal?
Well, yes, I am confident. I think it's probably a matter of days, not weeks or months, before these 8 bodies are identified, found, and then sent back to Israel. But there are a lot of complications ahead in terms of what to expect out of phase 2.
All right,
if you're following,
go phase 2.
Well, yeah, if you're following Israeli media, and then if you're following the Hamas spokespersons, there's a significant disconnect, and I think it just underscores that Trump plan, that 20-point plan, it was specific about some of the elements of the first stage, right? But in later stages, it was much more sort of vague.
Yeah, the further you go into the plan, the fewer details we actually see. There are really 2 pillars, I think, of what we could call phase 2, broadly speaking. The international security force that is supposed to oversee the ceasefire, and then an interim Palestinian government. Are these things, do you see details being nailed down on either of these?
Well, the news from this morning is that the U.S. has presented a draft resolution, or is in the process of presenting a draft resolution to the United Nations. And it actually says that the so-called Board of Peace would be put in place before this 15-member Palestinian technocratic committee. And it says that the Board of Peace would be responsible for overseeing the work and supervising the work of this 15-member Palestinian committee. It also says that this International Stabilization Force, the ISF, would be an enforcer. They would be a peacekeeping, an enforcement force. In other words, they would be given some significant latitude to carry out military operations. I think that the language that I've seen suggests that they are going to seek to disarm Hamas. And also
disarm them by force? Because my understanding is that the countries that would be part of this international stabilization force, the last thing they want to do is actually be involved in kinetic action, right? In military action against Palestinian forces such as Hamas.
So I'm telling you what I know, but there's far more that I don't know. Okay,
I think that's all of us right now.
Right. So I have so many questions about the countries that are signing up for this Board of Peace, and if they understand what they're actually signing up for, based on the Trump vision, because based on that vision, there would be significant likelihood of conflict, violent conflict, and I don't know that any of those countries want that, right? These Muslim and Arab states don't necessarily want to sign up for fighting against Hamas on behalf of Israel, right? So that's a complicating factor. And then your question is very valid. How do you even begin to disarm a force that is tens of thousands of members strong? And then how would Hamas ever prove that it is disarmed, that none of these 30 or 40,000 people have a handgun or something like that? And what is to prevent Israel 6 months from now or 3 months from now or a year from now from saying, well, we found a person who's got a gun, or there's a cell that is still armed? So there are all kinds of complications.
I think it's fair to say, and you tell me if you disagree with the logic, that if Israel could not fully disarm Hamas in 2 years of active conflict, then whatever international security force comes in would equally not be able to disarm Hamas by force. So this has to be done through some mediation or politics, no?
I agree with you. That's exactly what I've been saying, what many others have been saying now for weeks. There has to be a political solution. There has to be some sort of a political horizon, and that's one of the things that the plan lacks. It's one of the major flaws of the plan. The idea that this ISF is going to come in, and then this Board of Peace is going to come in for 2 years, and until the end of 2026, 2027, I believe, is what the draft resolution says, and that's going to somehow solve anything. That's very problematic. I mean, no one's getting the opinion of Palestinians. There's almost no Palestinian agency here anywhere. Palestinians are going to view this, not just Hamas, by the way, but Palestinians more broadly are going to view this as a kind of foreign occupation. And it's going to be a very, very difficult sell. What needs to happen is that there needs to be some kind of a political path forward, to your point, a horizon that ends with a Palestinian state, Palestinian sovereignty. Hamas has already said they would gladly give up their weapons to a legitimate Palestinian governing body when Palestinians have their freedom. That's how this has to end, but I don't think the Trump administration
they say we hand over our weapons once Israel ends its occupation, which the Israelis interpret as, oh, well, then you don't want to hand over your weapons. And if you read Israeli media, that's what they're saying.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll leave it here for now, but we'll speak again. Mohammed Al-Masri, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.